Welcome to Community News Network, Miami's Community News Network. My name is Michael Moot. I'm the Public Information Officer for Miami-Dade County's Mosquito Control Division. I'm joined today by our guest, Dr. John Paul Mutebi. He is the Division Chief for Mosquito Control. How you doing, John Paul?
Oh, how are you doing?
I'm not bad. Happy National Mosquito Week.
Well, same to you.
Thank you. Thanks. Today is June 16th. It's actually the second day of the National Mosquito Control Awareness Week. And with that, I'd like to just get into it and ask you, Jean-Paul, why are we here? Why observe National Mosquito Control Awareness Week?
Yeah, actually, that is twofold. One is to highlight the dangers that mosquitoes pose to the general public. And secondly, is to point out everyday things that can be done to reduce the dangers that are associated with mosquitoes. That is disease transmission and irritation caused by the mosquito bites.
Yeah, it seems like every day is National Mosquito Day and every week is National Mosquito Week, especially this time of year, doesn't it?
Yes.
Right. All right. So what is the most important takeaway from surveilling the mosquito populations of Miami-Dade County?
Now, so far, we've got quite a lot of mosquito species that are associated with Miami-Dade County. The count is up to 53. Not all of them are dangerous. Not all of them are irritating. But we have quite a few that are irritating, and that is well documented. So surveillance shows that currently there is elevation in activity of some types of mosquitoes. It is mostly the nuisance, but also we are seeing some rising numbers of vector mosquitoes, especially Aedes aegypti, the one that transmits dengue, yellow fever, chikungunya, Zika.
That's, I think, the word that everyone can relate to.
Yes.
Right. Yeah, no, that is, that's great that you point that out, because surveillance is pretty much, I would say, I don't know if you agree, the most important tool that we have in our toolbox here at Miami-Dade County.
Oh, yes. That is the most important thing that we can do. First of all, we get to know what mosquito species are there and where, because different mosquitoes have got different habits and they've got different activity patterns. So knowing where they are, what species they are, then we know exactly where to look for their larval sites, and then we know what kind of activity patterns we are going to expect.
Right.
And all of those are really important in putting together a control method.
Isn't it true that the mosquito that transmits Zika and dengue, chikungunya, yellow fever, it is active during the day as opposed to some of the other mosquito species that are common?
Yes, actually, it is much more active during the day. More like in the early mornings and the late evenings, but it is active throughout the day. That's why it is called diurnal.
Okay.
Yeah, because most of its activity is during the day. It doesn't exactly switch off at night, but the activity at night is much more limited during the day.
I ask, and I think it's important to highlight, because sometimes our inspections will take place during the day, and sometimes what happens is we don't encounter the suspect mosquito, and it seems like no action was taken, and that nothing was done, and it's because sometimes the mosquitoes just aren't present during the day.
Oh, yes. Sometimes they're resting during the day.
Right.
And at times when it is extremely hot, they don't venture much outside. So they wait for their ambient temperature. They wait for their specific temperature regime to be active.
Right.
Yeah, so yes, you may not see them during the day. They are hiding.
Right. So I guess not even mosquitoes can appreciate this type of heat this time of year.
No, they don't.
Right. So let's talk a little bit about aerial spraying. When would Miami-Dade County employ that technique of mosquito control known as aerial spraying? Yeah,
you know what? That is really rare. That is rare to go into aerial spraying. It is usually associated with area-wide mosquito infestations. Usually the irritant ones, the nuisance mosquitoes like Aedes teniorhynchus, because they tend to cover really wide areas. And they are not using Miami-Dade County like residential areas as their larval sites. Usually it is in these preserved areas, including the Everglades.
Which I was very near to earlier today.
Yes, but they are really long flyers. They can fly long distances. Right. They've been clocked to fly, at least some of them are about 40 miles a day. So they can come from really far away. So those are some of the times when we think about using aerial spraying.
So what would that look like exactly? What would trigger an aerial spraying an aerial spray mission?
I know there are some specifics here in the state of Florida.
Okay.
25 mosquitoes per trap per night. All 5 mosquitoes landing or biting someone in a minute. So those are some of the specifics can be used. Also, if there is a widespread transmission of disease, like it was like in 2016 Zika here.
Right.
Yes. So whenever it is that widespread.
And we did use aerial spraying during Zika.
Yes,
I remember.
It was used.
I think that the last time that we engaged in aerial spraying was on or around May of 2017.
Yes, it was 2017.
And it was for the nuisance spider.
Yes.
And I remember at that point, and the reason I think it's important to discuss aerial spraying is because I get that question a lot on social media, especially on Facebook. I know there's one very loyal Facebook follower. Hello, Lucia. Shout out to you. She asks all the time why we're not engaging in aerial spraying. I try to explain that it is the measure of last resort, and it's very infrequently done. And I can recall the last time we did it, the area that we covered was all of Homestead, and that's not a small little area. That's a large area. We did all of Homestead, we did all of the Redlands, and I believe pretty much up the East Coast, from US 1, from the tip of the state all the way up to the Rickenbacker Causeway. That's a huge area.
Oh yes, and whenever areas are too large to be effectively covered by ground spraying, by ground treatment, that's what we do. We use air spraying.
We don't get there very often.
No, we don't usually get there.
Right, and that's a good thing.
Yes, that's a good thing. Yes.
Okay. Speaking of area wide, can you tell us a little bit about the new A1 Super Duty larviciding truck that we recently acquired?
Oh yes, we acquired that truck because it is in the literature, it is really highly thought of. Like, it tends to control larvae in the areas where it does the treatment from a range of like 60% to 100%. It has been used here in Florida as well, because there are some records that show that actually it was controlling more than 90% of the mosquito larvae in an area, and that was in 2021. And in 2022, it was given a range of like 60 to 100%. That was in Miami-Dade County here. So yes, it is one of those that the equipment that is really effective when it comes to area-wide larval control.
So the data is looking really good.
Yeah, the data looks really, really good. But not only that,
right?
It is economical. Like,
right,
it costs way less than the other equipment on the market, and it is easy to operate.
Right.
In other words, you don't use specific trucks or other equipment to get it going. You just buy it and put it on a truck, calibrate it, and it gets going.
Right. I understand that the type of truck that's needed to operate this equipment is actually smaller than some of the other larviciding equipment.
Yes.
So that's important, not only in terms of cost savings measures, but also in reducing our emissions and our fuel costs. And that's right in line with what the mayor's trying to do for the county at the moment, which is part of the Smart 305 initiative.
Yes.
So there's a lot of pluses to it.
Yes, it is very low operation costs and very high efficiency. Yes.
That's exactly what we're looking for. That's great. So how does it differ from the Buffalo turbine? What would you say are the biggest things that set it apart?
Now, the Buffalo turbines, first and foremost, it is the efficiency. It has been shown not to be as effective as the other equipment on the market. Like, it has an effective rate of about 36% where it has been tested. Whereas if you look at the A1, that is 90%, 60 to 100%, depending on where you are. Secondly, that's a big difference. Mm-hmm. Secondly, it is very expensive. Mm. Yeah, the cost between the two is 14,000 or 13,000 difference in cost between the two. And then the Buffalo turbine has to be mounted using a special cage that has to be bought separately. Right. And then it requires a certain specific type of truck.
Right, the Super Duty.
The Super Duty, yes.
Right, so it's much larger.
Operated.
Right.
So when you add all of that together, it is not the kind of equipment that should be used or that we want to use in our program.
Right. Right.
Yes.
Okay. That's good. So why is let's shift gears a little bit. Speaking of trucks and mechanics, shifting gears. See what I did there? So why is source reduction such an important part of mosquito control?
Oh, that is the best way of doing mosquito control, because source reduction, that is the removal or the destruction or the alteration of the larval habitat or the habitats where immature mosquitoes are found. So when you are going after that, first of all, it is proactive. You are getting to the mosquitoes before the adult stage, and it is the adult stage that either irritates people by biting them or transmits disease. Number two, when you're going after these larvae, you find them at a stage where they're concentrated because they are in small water bodies. They are accessible, you can get to them, and they are vulnerable. They are relatively immobile. They can't fly. So you find them at a really vulnerable stage. Number three, it tends to eliminate the use of insecticides in many cases, because you are getting rid of the larval sites. So that way you are not actually using any pesticide to get to them. So it minimizes the impact, or eliminates the impact on non-target organisms.
Right. So we're reducing the use of pesticides. That's also a cost savings measure.
Yes.
And it's what we're essentially doing is tossing the mosquito. We're just really just tossing out the water,
Yes.
or reducing, like getting rid of the containers that would fill with water.
Yes.
And that would cause the breeding. That would get the attention of a female mosquito.
Yes.
Right.
That's exactly what we're doing.
That's not nothing. Those are a lot of really, really good advantages.
And as I said, that is the best way of controlling mosquitoes.
Right.
You go after the larval stage.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So let's skip back a little bit to controlling mosquitoes and some of the area wide. I understand that there was recently a change. Can you tell me why we rolled back our regularly scheduled truck spray routes?
Yeah, you know what? The main reason is mosquito control should not be done like on a regular basis. It has to be done depending on what is happening. So the main reason we rolled back that program is because that is the best way of developing insecticide resistance. The insecticides we use, now they are limited in number. So the insecticides we use can easily become non-effective when the mosquitoes develop resistance to them. So this has happened before. That's how what led to the resistance to DDT. It is because of that overuse. Like you are doing it regularly without any kind of monitoring. So in our case, what we are doing, we are responding to where the problem is, not doing it regularly because we don't want development of resistance to the very few insecticides that are left at our disposal.
Right, and that could leave us in a very vulnerable position where if it gets to a point where we have to eliminate the mosquitoes and we have to eliminate them quickly because of a disease outbreak, the fact that there is resistance could really set us back, could really harm our efforts.
Yes, that could put us in a very difficult situation, especially if you're dealing with adult infected mosquitoes, just as in the case of you described during an outbreak.
Right. And also using less pesticides means less costs that are involved.
Yes.
Right. So
less operating costs.
Right.
Yes.
There's a lot of benefit to it then.
Yes.
Right. Right. Great. So can someone request a truck spray treatment? Why or why not?
Unfortunately, one cannot ask for a specific type of mosquito control because basically what we do, or rather what someone can do is report a mosquito problem. Right. So we'll show up, evaluate, and depending on what we see, we will select a method of control. So the general public cannot request for any specific type of control as such, but they can request an inspection.
Right. That's like the old adage: ready, fire, aim.
Yes.
We have to aim first, right? We have to study.
We have to study the situation because, as I told you, we've got 53 different species of mosquitoes.
Right.
Now, each mosquito has got different habits. So we have to study them. We have to know what mosquitoes there, then get an idea of where it might be, then find out if source reduction can work. Then if not, we have to know at what time they're active, because many of them are active at different times of the day or night.
Right.
Yes, there's a whole lot that goes into.
Right. And this isn't just John Paul saying this. This isn't just Miami-Dade County deciding, hey, we're not going to send a truck. This is actually Florida state law.
Yes, it is in law too.
Right. We are governed by a very specific set of laws that spell out how we can do our jobs. Is that correct?
Yes. We are governed by some statutes that specifically tell us to follow the procedure just described whenever there is any kind of mosquito problem.
So by law, we must inspect first.
Yes, we must inspect first.
And the reason I think it's important to discuss this and talk about it is because let's say on any given day now in this peak season, I get maybe 10 or 12 email inquiries per day. I think it was 11 today. Around 5 of them were people requesting that we come out and spray. And my response is always the same. We can't, per Florida law, we can't spray until we inspect. And it's not just me trying to be difficult. It's not us. Our job here as public service is to help Miami-Dade residents. And it's not that we don't want to do our jobs. It's that there's a very specific way that we must do our jobs. And I think it's important to highlight that.
Yes, it is really, really important. And not only that, we got to evaluate if what we did actually was effective.
Right.
Yeah, because you never know where resistance is going to crop up. And some people have got a habit of treating their property, or there's some exposure to some of these insecticides that are made for structural pests like cockroaches, or agricultural pests, agricultural insecticides, because they are basically similar. So after we go through the process of determining what we are going to do, we have to evaluate to make sure that what we've done is effective. So all of that is part of the statutes.
In other words, it's important to, and we are required to analyze and sort of monitor our results and what it is we're doing.
Yes. Okay, yes, we are.
So speaking of helping our residents, how can residents request a mosquito inspection of their home or their business?
Oh, that is easy. Either you can call 311, or you can go to the website, miamidade.gov / mosquito inspection.
Right. Yeah, that's actually there's a third way that I didn't tee up for you, and that I like to use, and it's the Miami-Dade Solid Waste app. There's that app, and there's the 311 app that right from your mobile phone you can select a number of county services, but there is one specific icon that's literally a little mosquito. You tap on it and you're able to request an inspection. That's the way that I like to use. That's the quickest way, the easiest way. Mm-hmm. It's available 24/7. It really is in the palm of your hand. It's just 5 or 6 quick and easy steps, and you can have a mosquito inspection at your home or business. Now, again, that's available to anyone who lives and owns a business here in Miami-Dade County, and it's that easy. You call 311, visit our website, miamidade.gov / mosquito inspection, or you can use one of the 2 mobile apps, either the Miami-Dade Solid Waste MDC app or the 311 app. And so if anyone wants to learn more about our division, John Paul, where should we send them?
Oh, we send them to our website. And the website is miamidade.gov / mosquito.
Wonderful. Is there anything else you'd like to share on National Mosquito Week?
Oh, usually there's a lot of things I want to share about mosquitoes. But you know what?
we don't have that much time.
We don't have much time. Right. So some other time, I'll be more than happy.
Well, thank you for your time today, sir. I want to thank everyone who's joined us. However you're watching, thank you for tuning in. This is the Miami Community Newspaper Live Network. To learn more about our division, as John Paul said, please go to miamidade.gov / mosquito. And I invite you all to follow us on social media at 305 Mosquito. We're on Facebook, we're on Instagram, and we're on Twitter, X, however you want to call it these days. We are planning, as part of our National Mosquito Control Awareness Week, there's 2 additional live social media events. Please go to our Facebook page to learn more. That's facebook.com / 305 Mosquito. On behalf of Dr. John Paul Mutebi, our division director, my name is Michael Moot. Once again, thank you for joining us, and